Alright, today we're going to demonstrate the Design Hardware 416 door closer. The 416 door closer will mount on the door in 3 different applications. It will mount on what we call a standard installation, which is on the pull side of the door. Pull side of the door being the side of the door you pull at you when you go to walk through it. It'll also mount parallel arm. Parallel arm will be mounted on the push side of the door, and it will mount top jam, which is on the top jam of the push side. We'll get to those later. For now, we're going to do the standard installation, which is where we mount the door on the face of the door on the pull side. As you'll notice, we've got a lot of holes up there. We've used this door for several demonstrations already today. Now, first thing you got to do is look in your instructions. You'll see that this door will open in a couple different applications. This particular closer, mounted standard arm or standard installation, will open from 100 degrees to 130 degrees. So you got to decide how far you want it to open. For today's purposes, we're going to set it at 100 degrees. So we're going to locate our holes on the door and mark them. Your first hole will be 7 5/16 from the center point of the hinge, basically the edge of the door, to the hole. So we're going to lay that out at 7 5/16. And then down from the top of the door, it is 11/16 from the top of the door to the center of your hole. So you want to measure that 11/16 and mark it. And I always like to circle my mark when I'm done with it. You notice we've got a lot of stuff on this door, so it could get a little confusing. Mark your marks clearly. And the next thing you want to do is take that hole, which is going to be your starting point. I'm going to go 1 inch over for the next hole on your closer body. 1 inch over, and there again, that's 11/16 down from the top, and then circle it. Now your other 2 holes for your closer body will be over here. They are located off of those holes as they go. So you've got your first hole here, which was 7 5/16. Then you've got your next hole, which is 1 inch over. Now you need to go from the center of that hole 3 more inches over and mark that. And that'll be the next hole on your closer. And that hole is 2 1/4 inches down from this hole. So you come here, so you want to mark that. You have to mark that 11/16 first, and then you want to mark 2 1/4 inches down from there. What I like to do is take that hole and then double check it. I'm at 11.5 here. I just bring that mark down. I'm at 11.5 right there. Now you want to go 1 inch over from there for your other hole. There you go, you're 1 inch over. Now again, take that hole from the top of the door to that hole. You're at 3. Bring that mark over. There you go, and circle those. There's your 4 holes to mount your closer body. 2 here, 2 here. Now the arm of your closer will mount up here. On your instructions, it tells you if you're going with the 100 degrees, it'll give you the point B for the first hole of the foot of the closer, which is 11 13/16 from the center of the hinge over 11 13/16. We've got one roughly right there. We'll use that one for our demonstration today. Now your next hole over is 1 15/16 from there. I'll put you right here. Those holes got to be 1 1/16 up from the bottom of the door frame. You want to mark that, circle it. Here again, that's from the bottom of the frame to the center of the hole. Now that you've got them all laid out, I always like to just take a punch on a metal door. Even though we're using a self-drilling screw, I like to put a dent in the door, center of my marks. It'll help that screw center run a little truer. We've only got to mark one up there. We're going to reuse that hole. I also like to take that, before I get my closer out, I like to pre-drill that very first hole that we laid out. Just makes it easier. You've got it drilled. Go back to the very first hole, drill it. Okay, pre-drill that very first hole. Now we need to get the closer out of the box. To get the closer out, you'll notice you've got a closer body. The body itself, this particular closer comes with a cover. The cover out. In the box you'll find several different things. It's got a bracket to mount a parallel arm, which we'll show later how to use. This is the arm, referred to as the arm of the closer. Take it out of the bag. On the arm you have three basic parts. You have the forearm, the foot, and the main arm. Now you got screw pack in here. You want to open the screw pack up and dump it out. It comes with several kinds of screws because the 416 closer will mount in several different ways. So they give you enough screws to mount it. They also give you a set of through bolts. If you're mounting this to a wooden door, you might want to use the through bolts. But today we're going to use self-drilling, self-tapping screw. It's the one that has a small drill bit tip on the end of it. Take the closer body. The cylinder goes towards the hinge side. That would make this the first hole we laid out. I always like to just take this screw, drop it through the first hole, line it all up, and run it on there. As you can see with this pre-drilled, it does just make it a little bit easier. We'll take the second screw. I always like to go catty-cornered from it. You need to make sure you're on your marks. Closer needs to be on there straight. Find your mark, run your screw in. And there we go. We run that bottom screw in. You want to look, make sure you're running pretty straight. Closer's got to be level. If you're hitting your marks, you should be good. We need to run the other two screws in. You run your other two screws in, and you're good to go. Now, that's it for installing the closer body. I'm going to take the arm, drop it on top. This arm is simply an octagonal shape. Drops on the pinion. You want that arm sticking 90 degrees out from the door. We'll take the arm and push it away from the hinges, and it should move. You notice it won't move the other direction. If you got the closer mounted upside down or backwards, that arm won't work like you want it to. Now that you're sure you got that good, I can take the arm back off. We take this screw out of the forearm part. Take the forearm apart. Make sure you save that screw, you're going to need it later. Take the forearm out, the section with the foot on it. The foot is the part we're going to mount to the door frame. This particular foot is riveted on there. We always like to take, if you look at it, it's got what I call a long and a short side. We always like to take the long side and mount it to the hinge side. To do that, I'll just pull the door out of the way, swing your door open a little bit. Now if you remember, we were going to use these two holes. One was already set for us, the other one we're going to have to drill. So take that, set it in the long side, go to the hinge side, and there you go. Once you attach the foot, push the arm over out of the way, pull the door closed. Now you need to take the main arm, drop it back on top of the closer. There again, it should be sticking out at 90 degrees and it should pivot away from the hinges. You'll need to pull the door open a little bit, line the forearm pieces back together, slide it in place. Take the screw you took out of the forearm, slide it in there to find your hole, get it started. You want to screw it down, but not too tight, because you still need to adjust that arm. Now what you want to do, push that arm over till that forearm is almost 90 degrees straight out from the door. And then you want to tighten that screw back up, lock that in place. You can either do that with a number 3 screw tip or a 7/16" wrench, whatever works best for you. Now you're set and on. Now it's time to adjust the closer with the speed valves. This particular closer will adjust for the sweep, which is the first 90 degrees, and then it will adjust for the latch, which is about the last 10 degrees. And it also has a back check adjustment on it, which will keep it from blowing open in the wind. The door closer comes with a wrench. These are your 3 valves. This is your back check valve, it's right here. You have your sweep valve and your latch valve. First thing we want to start with is your latch. You want to make sure that door is going to hit hard enough that that lock, that closer, the panic, whatever you got on it, is going to close. So we like to back that out about 1/4 of a turn, give that door plenty of pop. That's pretty good. Now we want to take the sweep. We want the sweep, when that door is open at 90 degrees and goes to swing closed, it should take about 15 seconds. So you should be able to count from 1 to 15. So we're way too fast. We want to tighten that one up, go about 1/4 of a turn at a time. Just take your time on this part of it. Make sure you get it right. You should be able to count from 1 to 15 for that. Now that you got your sweep down just about where we want it, you might have it latching just a little bit hard. All depends on what you got on it. If you got a panic bar on it or a bunch of weather strip or something, it might need to hit hard, but we're going to slow it down a little today. Now the back check, this valve over here, back check is when that door is starting to come open, somebody's walking out it, they go to throw that open, they can throw it, they could hit a wall if there's a wall there. The wind's coming, the wind will catch it and yank it out of your hands. We want to take the back check, we want to get that door to start slowing down at about 90 degrees. We do that by just taking the back check valve and tightening it up. Turn it about 1/4 and go, and then you can feel it right there. What you might want to do, depending on your application, if you've got a wall or something, you're trying to keep the door from hitting when it's swung open, always just take that. You can play with it a little bit. You can tighten that down to where you can really feel it. And you know where you're at, and then you can back it off from that point. And that's pretty much it. Once you've got all that taken care of, and you're sure you're in good shape, you can put the closer cover on it. Right now I'm putting the screw on, the latch arm, the main arm screwing to the closer body. You want to double check everything. You want to make sure your arm's not hitting right there. If your closer's too low on the door or your arm is too low on the frame, that's your point where you'll make contact. You want to avoid that with this closer. When you take the closer, it comes with a decorative cover. It's got universal knockouts on it that are removable. Make sure you take the right one out because you can't put them back in. They snap out. The cover will go on like that. You want this one off of there, snap it out. Cover fits on, you got the right one out. I'm going to dig through your screws. You've got a small flat-headed screw, goes in the top of the closer to hold this in place. Comes with its own little Allen wrench. I like to set it up, there will be 2 of them, one on each end. One will go here and here. You can actually see the screw holes that are on the bottom. Since this is universal, the same screw is on the top. You can just pull it open a little bit, find that screw hole, get that started. That didn't work real well. Find that screw hole, get that started. Just goes right in. And you want to start the one over here. Turn them in about, a good turn or so they don't come loose on you. Find that hole right there. Turn that in. You take the closer cover. You see it's got slots. It's going to drop over those screws. Slide onto those screws technically. You set that all back up. Slide that in there. Go back to your center screw. Just tighten it down. And come over here. It's always easier to do this with the door open. Keeps everything out of your way. Tighten that one up. There you go. You always want to check the door one last time. Swing it open to 90, let it close. Kind of run that 15 through your head. Make sure it latches. If you got a doorknob or a panic or something on there, you want to make sure it latches. So what I normally do, I'll let it come closed and then hit, and then just take that doorknob and pull on it. Don't turn it, just pull it. Make sure it's closed good and tight. And that's it.